If you've been following my channel, you know I've been covering Crimson Desert relentlessly since day one launch. From my high-impact daily shorts tracking down hidden gear to my long-form breakdowns on Pywell's mechanics, I've been deep in the trenches. But today we need to step back and look at where this game is actually headed, because Pearl Abyss just dropped a massive wave of information. At their recent shareholder meeting, they went completely transparent about the future of Crimson Desert, their official stance on multiplayer expansion plans, and a literal 10-year roadmap for the studio. If you thought Pearl Abyss was going to just move on to their next project, think again. They explicitly stated they view Crimson Desert as a long-term IP that must be kept alive, treating it almost like a live service title despite its core single-player focus. But before we dive into the massive news surrounding a complete story overhaul and official mod support, we have to talk about a platform expansion question that absolutely blew my mind. When asked directly about the possibility of porting Crimson Desert to the Nintendo Switch 2, the CEO didn't just give a generic corporate answer. He confirmed that they are actively reviewing the hardware, and the game is currently being developed to a level where basic gameplay is already possible on it. Let's be real for a second. Running an open-world engine this intensive on a handheld device sounds like an absolute engineering nightmare. Pearl Abyss noted that this isn't just a simple port job. They are heavily verifying if they can fully maintain the game's core graphics, action, and seamless open-world experience without destroying the quality standards. There's no confirmed release schedule yet, as it's still undergoing heavy optimization, but the fact that basic gameplay is already up and running internally tells us exactly how aggressive they want to be with expanding this game to every screen possible. Now let's talk about the biggest piece of news that has the community buzzing: multiplayer. As many of you know, Crimson Desert was originally conceived as an online game before pivoting to a single-player journey. During the Q&A, the CEO was asked if a multiplayer mode could ever return. His response: "I believe there's room for a multiplayer mode in that process. They are actively conducting technical feasibility studies right now. It's a massive undertaking involving server structures, cross-platform stability and balance, so don't expect it in the immediate future." But Pearl Abyss is explicitly looking at multiplayer as the ultimate way to make this IP last for years to come. They also dropped a fascinating note on how they are planning their upcoming DLC releases. They are actively watching the global gaming market, specifically mentioning that they want to time their major updates carefully to avoid clashing with massive industry behemoths like GTA 6. They want the spotlight completely on them when new content drops. One of the most refreshing parts of this Q&A was the sheer accountability from leadership. The CEO openly admitted he felt ashamed that the initial launch reception caused disappointment and worry for shareholders, pointing out that early game immersion, accessibility, and pacing should have been prepared more meticulously. To fix that, they aren't just sticking to their weekly patches. They confirmed a comprehensive end-to-end story overhaul. We're talking brand new cinematics and entirely fresh content injected right into the main campaign to fix that early game slog. When asked if these aggressive weekly updates are hurting the development of future titles or expansions, they stated their live pipeline is running like clockwork. Speaking of expansions, they confirmed that paid DLC is actively in the works to give players substantial content updates. We don't have an exact price point or release date yet, but they promise a definitive answer on the DLC direction and timeline within the third quarter of this year. This next part is where things get incredibly exciting for the longevity of the game. The shareholders brought up how a robust modding community managed to push a game like Skyrim past 60 million units sold, and asked if Pearl Abyss would follow suit. The answer was a resounding yes. They are broadly reviewing official mod support, even discussing an internal system where users can easily toggle official mods on and off directly from the in-game menu without needing to dig through external files. They mentioned wanting to turn their proprietary Blackspace Engine into a creative tool ecosystem. While they have zero intention of selling the engine to external studios, they want to empower creators to build user-generated content. If they manage to pull this off and seamlessly bring an integrated mod toggle system over to consoles, the replayability here is going to be completely endless. Looking at the broader picture, Pearl Abyss is treating Crimson Desert as the ultimate foundation for their next decade as a studio. They are even planning to use the lessons learned here to speed up their upcoming pipeline, preparing to shift key personnel over to their next major projects, like the Shooter Plan 8 and Dokkai V, once the current development milestones are locked in. But I want to hear from you. Would you actually play a downscaled version of Crimson Desert on a Switch 2? And how do you feel about them treating a single-player game like a long-term live service? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. I'll catch you all in the next one.